Bum, 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 bum. Hey guys, welcome back to TutsByKai. I'm Kai, and today we are back once again. And just look at this beautiful burning planet material we are going to be making today. This is probably literally the best thing we've ever done, and we've done a lot of stuff. This is like one of my favorite things ever. It looks awesome. Very planety, very burny. Just looks awesome. I gotta say. So we're gonna get started. No more waiting. I want to show you how I made this. I'm gonna break it down for you real quick. I'm gonna split my window into two. And real quick before we get started, I have two different lamps in my scene. I have the top light coming down from the top here, and this is going to just be 1,000 and a very slight, slight yellow color right there. Not too much. You don't wanna. Very slight yellow color, as you can see. So that's about 0.05 and then 0.13, whatever. And then we have a bottom light coming up from the bottom, which is very slightly blue on 500. So just keep that in mind, because that bottom light really does help this out a lot. It has that nice little rim. So now, for the material itself, you can see I'm going to split my window into two. Go to this little button right here and go to Shader Editor. And you can see here, this is what we have for the material. So I'm going to break this down a little bit. The first thing we have is a Musgrave texture, which is, let me just disconnect everything else for a second. We'll just go ahead and do this step by step here, guys. So I'm going to just hit B to box select these and hit G to move them down. And then we're going to take a look at these three first. So these three are the first bulk of the material you can see here. It has a very nice planet-like effect, and you could really just leave this the way that it is. It looks fine the way that it is, but I wanted to push it a little further. So we have a Musgrave texture, which is Shift-A, Search, Musgrave right there. And then I just grabbed that, and I changed a couple of the values. So I changed this from 5 to 1, the detail from 2 to 16, and the dimension to 2, from 2 to 0, and this last guy right here from 2 to 2.6. So then I plugged that into a color ramp, which is Shift A, of course, color ramp right there. And then I grabbed this little button right here and changed it from linear to constant. And then I took these two little points, which was black and white, and I made this one like a lightish tan color, which is that hex value. And then I grabbed this brown color, which is that hex value, and it's just two different colors just to kind of make it look planet-like, you know, because that's what planets look like. They're brown sometimes. Pretty cool. And then I plugged this color ramp, the color, into the principal BSDF shader that was here by default, of course. And I didn't really change anything with this. I just bumped up the specular. I turned the specular tint all the way up because that looks terrible. And I turned the roughness to about 0.786. Which looks really cool. Moving on, we can see I grabbed a mix shader, which is just a Shift A, Search, Mix, and then we just grabbed that mix shader right there, and I plugged this into the top value. Now, the next thing I did was quite easy. I just duplicated all two of these nodes, which is the Musgrave texture and the color ramp. So I just duplicated those, and then I hit Shift A to add in a emission shader, which is this bad boy right here. Shift A, Search, Emission, there we go, and I just plugged that in right there. Same exact strength. I didn't change the strength at all. I just wanted it to emit a little bit of light, and I plugged this into the mix shader. Now, I did change a couple of these values. As you can see, what I did was I took these two colors and I changed this darker brown one to solid black, and I pushed it right, oh dang it, and I pushed it up right against the orange, and I also put this back on linear instead of constant. So I just pushed that black all the way up to the orange there, and I changed a couple of the values for the Musgrave texture. I changed the scale, I changed the detail from 16 to 9.5. I changed the dimension to 0.1. This is very important, because if you don't have that at the right value, it can look like this, and it's very different than what I have. And this guy right here is back on 2.6, same exact thing. Cool. Now, I plugged all those into each other, and then the emission into the mix of the bottom. Now, our material is done, but I didn't really like this. I wanted to push it further because it looked kind of flat and kind of unrealistic. So I wanted to go ahead and do a little bit of bump. So what I did here was I grabbed a Musgrave texture. Once again, same exact texture. The scale's on 1, detail on 16, dimension on 0, and everything else pretty much exactly the same. And I did something different with this, and I'll show you in a second. So I plugged up the factor into the displacement, and as you can see, once I do that, we have a very nice kind of texture going on here, which is really, really cool. But I really didn't like exactly the way that I was looking, so I changed up a couple of things. So I changed this, as you can see, from FBM. I changed this to hetero terrain here. So right there is the last one. I did try out some 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D, but I didn't like any of them, so I went back to 3D. And then I grabbed this bump, which, you know, I just plugged the normal into, what was it, the vector? Not the vector, it was the scale? I don't recall. Yeah, the normal into the vector, I believe, and yeah, so this is not super necessary, but you can see you can get some really cool effects from it. So I just wanted to have this up here to tell you, you can get some really nice, like, stretching and kind of bands going across this plant. Maybe you want something like that. If you plug it into different values, you'll see different things that it does, which is nice. So it's affecting the different values here. So right now it's affecting the detail, which is making this shiny for whatever weird reason. The dimension here, the same thing, and many of these won't have a good outcome. Like this one looks kind of good, but it's kind of dark up here, which is a little strange. And then there's like nothing right here. But I think I did go with vector. You can leave it on vector or scale, or you can just completely disconnect it altogether because it still looks fine without it. You have this nice little bump all over this area instead of it looking like that. So big difference with that displacement Musgrave texture in there, and then you can of course just go to scale, which I do like quite a bit. So I'm gonna leave scale on for this, and now you can see you have these nice little lava pools. And something else you could do is you can add in another color in between this black and orange. So you can add in you can make this, hit that little plus button, add in an orange right there, and then make that orange a little bit brighter. And then I can grab this orange, the default orange we had, and make this one yellow, right? So that like we have two different colors here. Kind of push that together a little bit, pull it out. You can see we have a little bit of a more orangey-ish yellow kind of thing going on here. But yeah, so that is going to be it for today's tutorial. Hope you ladies and gentlemen enjoyed it. Hope you're staying safe out there. I will see you in the next one. But, man, I really like the way this looks. But until then, bye-bye.